And we go racing for race 2 of ETC, and straight away the 81 of Gambarini trying to get a good start, but it is going to be Ramadiba side by side with Bahosa at turn 1. The 69 into the lead, he goes now. Alvaro Lucas up into P4 as well. So your pole sitter back down to what looks to be P6 so far. Longarella, a good start from the 45, up inside the top 5 already. Could this be his race? Could this be his chance to reclaim some championship points and to stretch out that championship lead? The championship lead at the moment is just at a one-digit number. It's 6 points in the lead of the championship is the 45. But now we come down to turn 5 for the first time of Askin. Moves will be made. That is a guarantee. Hopefully none of the drama last time out. Obviously, Cano making his way through the field further back down the order. Lucas dropping back down to P4, dropping right behind Longarella. So a good marker for him. Everyone through turn 5 clean this time. A nice clean start for the ETC field.
Absolutely an incredibly clean start. We see the pole sitter just ahead of the number 13. That's Matthias Rostagni getting ahead through the Nürburgring chicane and into the 180-degree headline. A perfect start for Bahosa from the third row, straight into lead, and then built up enough of a gap where the slipstream didn't matter to him on the run into turn 5. He wasn't challenged into the hairpin. Yeah,
it was a good start for him. As now they'll try and stretch their gaps. Gaps sometimes in the wet, you do see them stretch out nice and early on, and that's just when everyone's finding their feet, finding what their pace is going to be this time around. But as you mentioned, good start from Rostagni further down the order, as through goes Longarella on the inside of Ramadipa. But Ramadipa, what does he do? What response does he have as they make their way through turn 14 in just a moment's time, almost side by side? The 32 slotting in behind now into turn 15 we go, and out nearly anyway losing it on the brakes. It was Alvaro Lucas. Up the inside he goes. That was move done. It looked like it was going to be a near collision, or at least a near off from Alvaro Lucas, but he's kept everything under control and now into the podium battle.
And chasing down Alex Longarella straight away, although he does still have to defend from the number 32 he just passed. Just to make a note, you've probably seen it on the cameras, it looks like more rain starting to fall, so no worries about the track drying out, but more rain for these riders to contend with.
Yeah, certainly more challenges, and so far on that opening lap, Cano 13 positions he's made up, so a good start inside the point scoring positions already. Of course, as we mentioned, starting from P27 on the grid, loads of ground to make up. But Ramadipa, your race 1 winner, sits in P4 at the moment. Now, what we see in race 1 from Ramadipa was quite impressive. He sat quite comfortably in that lead group, not making any silly moves until it was really time to attack, and that's when he made the moves count.
He did. He timed his attacks to perfection in race 1. Just on Cano, one of the issues he's going to have is there is already a big gap for...
As we do have a rider down, actually. Sorry about that, Jack. But yeah, rider down on the exit of turn 5, a high side. And well, we have seen that be a tricky corner throughout the day. Not too much grip on offer, and that is Mario Landa down. So the 27 now back up on his feet, but took a heavy hit onto the ground, and disappointing end to his day, you would think.
Yeah, he would have been hoping for a bit more from race 2. Just to go back to what I was saying about Cano, one of the issues he's going to have is that already big gaps forming between the groups. For example, between Ramadipa in 4th and Brody in 5th, it's 2 seconds. It's not insurmountable if he's able to get there quickly, but it is going to be a challenge if he's not able to make the moves fast.
Yeah, certainly, and well, now as we continue on, Ramadipa is losing touch ever so slightly of this front group over the last lap, as we do have Mikey Lou Sanchez as well having a fall, so a crash there for the 55, a disappointing end to any hopes of a strong result anyway. But Alvaro Lucas, P3 at the moment for the 46. The fastest lap of the race comes from your leader, Bahosa. Now, a 2:04.407. A solid time this early on. What we see time and time again, the lap times really do build in these sort of conditions. And Longarella, he has a marker in front of him, most importantly. He has a gauge of how hard he can push and how close he wants to follow Bahosa in front.
Bahosa is the first rider to come across any change of conditions because of the rain falling or it starts drying out. So although he's got track position, in a way he's disadvantaged because he doesn't know where he can push. Whereas, as you say, Longarella has a good reference in front of him, and you can see the gap has closed up in the first sector of this lap.
And now heavy on the brakes once more. This is where we've seen the high side earlier on in this one from Mario Landa, but none of the such problems for our leaders, as Kano in this massive lead group further back down the order. About 8 or 9 riders in this group. Kano has managed to get ahead of all of them, and I believe that should be edging towards the top 10. So P11 at the moment for Kano, and now trying to bridge the gap further down the field. As well, the battle continues on at the front. Time on screen showing 55 having a fall. Yep, that is also on screen now at turn 9 for him. As looking at the inside is Longarella. Nothing made though this time around. And of course, that was the crash of Mikey Lou Sanchez that we had the graphic of earlier on of the 55. But the front two seem to be just bridging the gap at the moment from Alvaro Lucas, as Kano now enters the top 10, P9 for him at the moment.
Yeah, Kano up to P9, a great comeback ride so far in the early stages, but I'd say the top two just seeming to break away from Alvaro Lucas. Barbosa leading Longarella, but Longarella is visibly quicker on this lap and has been setting purple sectors so far. Purple sector means fastest of anybody, and as you can see, the gap is definitely coming down. He was 2 tenths quicker on that lap.
Yeah, 2 tenths quicker, exactly 2 tenths quicker at that. So with the gap now being 4 tenths, you'd have to say with 6 laps remaining, the battle is on in the ETC race 2. The battle is on for a good result, for 25 championship points. Longarella is going to be hungry for those 25 points. He's been battling all the way throughout the weekend, and then sadly from race 1, no fault of his own, and the mistake from Kano made him drop out of contention. But now flying past down on the back straight as we head towards turn 5 is Longarella. So the 45 back into the lead now, and what can he do at the front? Can he immediately stretch a gap from Barbosa, or is the 69 awaiting something? Has he got something left in his back pocket?
Based on what we saw over the last couple of laps, you would think Longarella would be able to pull a gap. However, Longarella is now in the situation that Barbosa was a couple of laps ago and seeing everything first. So maybe because of that, he was able to take advantage. They just go side by side, not quite through the 180-degree corner. Different lines, obviously different parts of the track, giving different grip levels for these riders.
Yeah, different grip levels all the way around the circuit, and grip, well, proven to be crucial here in this one to get a fast lap in. But Longarella, we're going to wait and see what the time's going to be. It was a first 2 good sectors from the 45 over the line the last time around. Of course, it was 4 tenths in the way of Barbosa, but that all changed down the back straight. A little moment though on the exit of the corner from Longarella. Is that going to allow Barbosa just to show a front wheel? If you can get side by side, as we see Beluzio on the 64 having a crash. So turn 5 for him down at the hairpin. Such a tricky corner, both in and out on the wet conditions. But a slight moment there from the 45 of Longarella. You have to wonder, is that just going to calm him down, bring himself, relax himself, and not to make any more mistakes? Because you cannot keep losing the rear like that because if you keep doing that, it is eventually going to bite you.
You can't, but he's wide through turn 1. He's left. I don't know if
he's through. He's through. So Barbosa now dropping back down. Barbosa up into P1. And it is going to be Longarella dropping back down to P2. He's trying to take a different line. It was the fastest lap of the race, a 2:02.7, but none of that matters if you're going to be running wide the next corner at turn 1. He is going to get slipstream, in the slipstream, tucking in his knees, tucking in his elbows, his shoulders, his head, and through he goes on the 45. Longarella now leads the field once more. It is going to be a 2-rider shootout, or of course, if these two continue to battle, it's going to allow Alvaro Lucas to get back into contention in 3rd.
Alvaro Lucas needs these two to battle to bring himself into contention. I've just been looking at the timings for Carlos Cano. He is up to P6, 3 seconds behind Matías Rostagni with 5 laps to go. Potentially P5 is possible, but then there's a 6-second gap to Ramadipa. That is unlikely to be bridged, I would suspect.
Yeah, a lot of work still to do. It has been a race of just constantly putting in the work, a weekend of putting in the work for Kano. But the front two, no change since that move down the back straight in between turn 4 and turn 5 for them. So Longarella looks like he has stretched the margin, but we did see him make a mistake at turn 1 last time around. And well, you cannot be making mistakes in these conditions, because if you ask for more and more, eventually the track or the bike will bite, and then suddenly, in the flash, you are down on the deck. A massive look behind as well from Longarella. He's gonna know Bajosa's there. The 69 up the inside, but of course now Longarella has the inside for turn 15, but 69 swoops around the outside, takes the position into the final sector, the high school complex, and now into the final corner. 16-17 on the power once more, and well, it looks like as he runs out onto the curb, slight bit of spinning up out of the final corner. But you would have to say in between turn 3 and 5, down the back straight, that's where he's going to be lining up another move. Yeah,
Longarella in P2 will get a huge slipstream effect down into P5. It does look like Bajosa has pulled out a gap, but it's probably not enough to be able to defend. The sector 3 time from the last lap, Bajosa was 7 tenths quicker than Longarella.
Yeah, super stuff in that final sector. You just seen him close and close. And well, having a little stretch actually was Longarella, just bringing out his knees. Although not the most aerodynamic, he's just trying to make himself last till the end of the race. He doesn't look down the inside this time around. He sits comfortably in second. He looks like he was happy to sit second this time around. Maybe just gauge a little bit more of where he can match Bajosa with, of course, the 69 being so strong in that final sector. Maybe the 45 just wants to take a page out of his book.
Exactly, and they've got enough of a margin to Alvaro Lucas behind where they don't need to be in front and constantly fighting. They can sit first and second in that order if that's what Longarella would like, until he can work out the best place to overtake Bajosa.
A wider line on the entry to the 180 corner. So Longarella, is this going to catapult him? Is this going to give him the slingshot? Of course, a late apex for him. He's definitely closed it up, but it wasn't enough to make a move into M&L. So through the left they go now before they head heavy on the anchors once more into the braking zone over at turn 13. And of course, this is where we've seen Bajosa be so strong. So is this going to be Alex Longarella's chance just to learn a little bit, as still sitting in P4 and a little bit of no man's land at the moment? It is Ramadipa, but Ramadipa take nothing away from him. Winner in race 1, nearly on the podium. He still could be on the podium. It's ETC, anything can happen. These are the challenger races for a championship charge where you need to stay focused with nobody around you.
Exactly. If he, as we said before, if you can't win, you can't finish on the podium, you take what you can get. If P4 is what Ramadipa can get in this race, take it 100%. Still good championship. Oh, he had a massive moment. 2 massive moments coming out of the final chicane. Just able to keep it together.
Yeah, just keeping it together. Losing the rear on the exit of turn 17. And then all the way, as we do see actually, a rider down there on the run to turn 1 that looked like as well. We do have 49 crashing out as well, rider okay. But losing the rear for Ramadipa, as it looks like the leaders side by side once more into turn 5. No move made this time round. Ethan Rodriguez down, so crashing out of this one, the 49. So a shame for him, but Ramadipa staying on. Once he was on the curb as well, he just tried to pick up the throttle, and Rustangi also down. We spoke about how much he was wanting to have a good ride on the number 13. Sadly, that's all came to an end, and now they're getting Scooter back to the paddock as this is going to allow Cano up into P5, as it looks like we do have a red flag. So red flag now appearing out with 3 laps remaining. So that should be 2/3 distance. But of course, as always, we'll wait for official confirmation. But over the line last time around, it was the 69 leading Longarella. 3 tenths, nearly 4 tenths of a second was their margin. As actually it looks like a little bit of celebrations already. I think Bajosa realizes that it's probably him that's going to take the win, and Longarella says he doesn't know, and that's just in the hope that he does manage to win on counting back. But I think it will be Bajosa taking the win in this one. As inside the Snipers team box at the moment, the mechanics just waiting to see the official results here at Manly Core. Of course, a dramatic race 2 for the ETC field. And celebrations as they wait in pit lane before they'll make their way into Parc Fermé. and some of the level up MTA riders, our crew down there in pit lane as well. So that is confirmation. Red flag, 2/3 distance, no race restart. So the race has been declared. The result of the race is finished. And well, that will be our top 3. So Barroso winning by nearly 4/10 of a second over Alex Longarella. Alvaro Lucas, P3 now for him. Another podium here in ETC. Another solid ride. And well, heading into Moselland Aragon, a confidence boosting result you would have to think. Tricky conditions in both races for the ETC field. As you can see, the celebrations, the cheers down in Parc Fermé as well. So celebrations everywhere you look, I'm sure. As the P1 board is raised, and P1's all the way in the air. So with the rain continuing to fall, it was the 69 of Barroso who took victory on countback. So he led at the last completed point by nearly 4/10 of a second. And you can just see BG12 on the pit board there at the other side of Parc Fermé. Of course, every class, including the ETC, their thoughts remain with Borja Gomez's family and friends. But a great result for Fernando Barroso. 3rd in the championship now, 83 points. Really becoming the championship contender in 2025. As I'm sure Alex Longarella will have something to cheer about, and they do indeed, and there is the pit board. But Longarella, of course, a difficult race one. Difficult weekend, of course, but in race 1, got caught up in the incident from Kano. Nothing deliberate, just one of those things. Kano was trying to save a crash, and it meant no points were scored. So P2, solid 20 points after that one. Well, Alvaro Lucas, P3, another podium here at Magny-Cours. Still 2nd right now in the championship. So Spaniard, what does the next round hold at Aragon? We're not going to have to wait too long to find out.